My relationship with my dad had its own kind of closeness. Since my siblings were already grown when I was little, I often had the gift of spending one-on-one time with him. He took me to the rocket ship playground, to watch airplanes and boats, and to Dairy Queen for blizzards. On teacher work days, I would ride along with him while he worked as a salesman, and he always had cotton candy now-and-laters for us to share. Those simple routines became our traditions, and they made me feel so loved. When my parents divorced, I was in middle school, and it broke me in many ways, but my dad never let me go. Even when he lived across the country, he wrote me letters, he called, and made sure that I knew I mattered. When I was 19, we took a crazy road trip from Florida to Las Vegas, just the two of us. We laughed our way across the country, and it became a trip I'll never forget. As I grew older, he was by my side for some of the biggest moments of my life. When I was pregnant with Donovan at 21, he flew in near my due date, walked with me every day up and down our apartment stairs until I gave birth. He stayed by me through labor, proudly pressing Donovan's tiny footprints to his chest and joking with all of the hospital staff that he deserved part of the nurse's pay because he was part of the delivery. And from then on, he was not just my rock, but he also became the rock for my children too. My dad loved my kids fiercely. He had trophies made for them, he cheered them on from the sidelines, he built them up to believe in themselves, and at the same time, he was brutally honest, never sugarcoating, always telling them the truth about their effort and their game, or lack of. He poured himself into first coaching Kyle and Zach's Florida Warriors team, and some of those guys are here now and they're dads. And that's where Donovan, who was just a toddler, fell in love with the game. He would sit on the bench with them and there's a picture of him, 3 or 4 years old with their uniforms on, and he loved the game as well. And then later, my dad spent years with Donovan and the Wellington Wolves here at this gym, taking that same group of boys from second grade all the way through middle school, teaching them not just basketball, but lessons about discipline, toughness, and teamwork. Donovan held a uniquely special place in my dad's heart. From the day he was born, they shared a bond that was deeper than just grandfather and grandson. From the time that Donovan was just 2 or 3 years old, we lived together under the same roof. And when you share daily life like that, just naturally, your relationship becomes deeper. My dad wasn't just a grandfather, he was a constant presence, he was a mentor, and in many ways, he was like a father to Donovan. He coached Donovan from 2nd through 8th grade in travel basketball and was at every middle school and high school game. When Donovan played his first home game at the Naval Academy, he came, and it was a really hard trip for him to come, but he did. And I'm glad that he was able to see that in person. After that, he followed every game from home or at a local Duffy's with Betty. And he would have his notebook in his hand, tracking stats like he always did. And then without fail, he'd send Donovan a text with his Coach Bob points, reminding him that even across all of those miles, his biggest fan was still right there in his corner. And after Donovan, he poured that same energy into Ty. He coached Ty alongside Tony with the Forest Hill team from 2nd through 5th grade, loving every moment of watching him grow. When Ty was 4 years old, he made him a trophy with a picture on it, and it said, "World's Best 4-year-old." And he made him feel special with that trophy. We still have that. And then Tate came, and Tate had a special relationship with my dad. When Tate started to show promise early on, my dad was his biggest advocate. He was calling the local newspaper saying, "You have to hear about this first grader." And I was like, "Dad, nobody wants to hear about the first grader." But he was so proud. Whether it was watching Ty and Tate shoot hoops in the driveway, tallying up their Coach Bob points after a game, or just sitting on the sidelines in a folding chair with pride, my dad was always right there, invested and so proud. He created his own scoring system, which is this Coach Bob points, and it's not just stats, it's like different point values for different things that you do. And a lot of the people that are here that played for him, they had Coach Bob points too. It just showed the true value on the court, and he wanted the kids to see that their contribution was more than just points scored. Basketball may have been the setting how all of us met, but through basketball we created memories and friendships that we will last and stay with us forever. He also taught all of my kids card games. He loved playing cards with Betty as well. They would sit around the kitchen table or in his room, and they weren't just fun, they sharpened their minds. My kids got so good at math from playing cards with him, they'd often ask him for math problems in the car. He loved challenging them, and they became really good at mental math because of those moments. What I remember most, though, is that my dad was my person. He took care of us so I could finish school and become a teacher. He was the one I listed as my emergency contact. He was the one who always answered my calls, gave us rides, organized trainings and workouts for my kids, watched games, texted me play-by-play updates if I couldn't be there. He would constantly ask me, "How can I help you today?" He was steady, dependable, and he always had my back. And the last few years were very hard as his health declined. He wasn't able to drive anymore, and my relationship and my kids' relationships with him shifted due to him not being able to be as involved with our everyday hustle and bustle. And sometimes his crankiness got the better of him, but through it all, I always loved him with all my heart. And when he passed away, I was with him. I was rubbing his back, telling him that help was on the way and that it would be okay. And even though that I knew this day would come, I could have never prepared for the weight of losing him. He was my constant, and now he's gone. But I do find comfort in knowing that his legacy lives on, and every player he coached, and most of all in my boys who he loves so deeply. And I will carry him with me always. Thank you.
Thank y'all for coming. Most people knew my grandfather as a grumpy, no-nonsense old man who only cared about card games and old gangster movies. While that may be partly true, that's not the way I saw him. From my earliest memory to my last, Papa has always been one of the most important people to me. As the first father figure that I had in my life, he was an incredible role model, teaching me how to dribble my first basketball, how to steer his dark green minivan, and how to play block the shot at the front door with the Superman ball and his laundry basket. More importantly, Papa taught me the importance of family. He was somebody that I could count on for anything that I needed, no matter the circumstances. He cared for my mom and I through all the rough times, and I'm thankful that I got to spend my 22 years of life with him. Now that he's gone, I will continue to live my life in the way that I know he'd be proud of. I know that he'll be watching every one of my games in heaven with his pen and notepad, counting all my Coach Bob points. I love you, Papa. Until we meet again, thank you. I know we're so